How much heavy lifting can a semicolon do? That's one of the things we will talk about today as we go through another Emily Dickinson poem. Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Ford, and we are here for another poetry discussion, which will appear, of course, in two different playlists here on the channel. Number one being the poetry discussion list, now over 700 videos strong. But number two, the Emily Dickinson playlist, a playlist of videos dedicated to the greatest poet that there ever was. This is the first time, to the best of my recollection, that this poem will be appearing on the channel. The poem in question is known as The Distance That the Dead Have Gone. You have to give it to Emily Dickinson. Those opening lines are second to none. The poem in question, just 8 lines, reads as such. The distance that the dead have gone does not at first appear. Their coming back seems possible for many an ardent year. And then, that we have followed them, we more than half suspect, so intimate we have become with their dear retrospect. This semicolon. Without that semicolon, so with the semicolon, this is how that stanza sounds. The distance that the dead have gone does not at first appear. Their coming back seems possible for many an ardent ear. Without that semicolon, this is how it sounds. The distance that the dead have gone does not at first appear. Their coming back seems possible for many an ardent ear. The inflection forced by the semicolon is interesting because with the semicolon, what you're saying is, at first, it does not strike us how far the dead have gone. We feel them right here. The second half of the stanza says, because we feel them as if they are right here, it seems they can come back. That's how close it seems. Without that semicolon, what is happening is the poet is saying the distance that the dead have gone does not at first appear that their coming back seems possible for many an ardent year, meaning that it would seem after the distance of years that their coming back seems more plausible. But I want to go through this poem and just talk about what's happening in it before we get to any of the interpretive stuff. The distance that the dead have gone does not at first appear. This is saying that at first, when the dead have gone, when someone has died, it does not strike us that it is final. It does not strike us that they have gone very far at all. We feel them still. We remember them as if they were right there. Their coming back seems possible for many an ardent year. For years after someone has died, we feel as if they might knock on our door, as if they might show up one evening, as if they might text you and say, hey, what are you up to tonight? You want to grab dinner? That's how it feels. And then that we have followed them, we more than half suspect. After some time, when it doesn't feel as if they are that close anymore, it feels as if we too have strayed. It feels as if we too are more than halfway gone. It feels as if we are there looking back on our lives because we have spent all this time contemplating an individual who is no more, talking about someone, thinking about someone who will not be coming to the door anymore. So intimate we have become with their dear retrospect. It's an interesting couplet. So intimate we have become. So intimate is closeness, right? Almost a tangibility. So intimate we have become, not with them, but with their retrospect, with what it is that we remember about them. So intimate we have become with what it was we remember. But we don't remember them. We remember our memories of them, right? This just like it's the opposite end of that old saying, everybody dies alone. Everybody lives alone too. You can't see the world through anyone else's eyes. All of the memories you have of someone are your memories. Your singular, not yours. Your memories, not the memories of the two of you. And this poem is talking about death, right? Sort of in the liminal space, talking about death, talking about what's gone, but what is deceased. But I don't think that something has to be literally dead for this poem to play out. There are undoubtedly people in your life who have left, decided to move on. They're as good as dead. They're never coming back. But not only that, previous yous have died. This feeling of nostalgia is simply this same sentiment, but for the self. The distance that my past has gone does not at first appear that it is gone forever, but I am never going back to who I was, where I was, how I was. One thing I don't think Emily Dickinson gets quite enough credit for is how much emphasis she put on living in the now. You have to be present. You have to be where you are. And that is, I have to say it, very, very strange, seemingly strange indeed for someone who basically shut themselves away in an attic for a very large portion of their life. But is it irony that these observations of the precious nature of every moment comes from someone who is so far removed? And we are talking about that with this poem because how distance, the distance that the distance that the life lived seems to have gone for someone who has locked themselves in an attic, right? Emily Dickinson's quest to make others live in the now, be present, might come from the fact that she feels her own presentness gone. It's a strange irony. It's just a wild turn of events that someone has to dedicate themselves to something so holy as Emily Dickinson completely dedicated herself to poetry in order to put into words these observations that Emily Dickinson almost certainly did not feel in her own life. The urging to live in the now from someone who wrote 1,776 poems, the greatest poems the English language has ever known, and who did not only call publication the auction of the mind of man, but seemed to have sworn off. So publication is a sort of society building thing. You put your name in print, you are a person of letters amongst those other people of letters. It is a society itself. Emily Dickinson so removed from everything that she even refused to put into a society, the society of publication, the poetry that she worked so hard on. The poetry to which she dedicated so much time, so much mental space, so much mental power. That is all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. There is poetry every Monday, and as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.